Hi there. Today we're going to talk about chord building. Now, you'll remember we talked before about the major scale. Today we're going to talk about building chords using notes from the major scale. If you already know how to do this, then this isn't the video for you. However, if that sounds like something cool to you, this will give you maybe a little bit of insight as to why, say, this E chord happens to be an E. So let's get started. Let's take a look at the E major scale. Now, if we look at the notes in the E major scale, you'll notice the 1 or the root is E, and the 3 is G sharp, and the 5 is B. Now, these notes are important because that is the formula for a major chord, 1, 3, 5, or in this case, E, G sharp, and B. Now, to prove that to ourselves, let's take a look at an E we already know and walk through all the notes. So we've got E, B, E, G sharp, and then an open B, and an open E. Let's try walking up some different E chords. So if I'm just using these 4 strings, and I just want to do different combinations of E, G sharp, and B, my first thought is open E here. The next thing I would go to would be putting that G sharp note in the bass, and to make life easy on myself, I'm going to pick up that B note as the top note of my chord, and I'm going to fill in the other 2 notes with E's and B's. Still E, G sharp, and B, still an E major chord. My next thought is I'm going to put the 5th in the bass, and I'm going to fill in the other notes with E, G sharp, and B. So you get something that sounds like this. Now, I just kind of went backwards here. What would happen if I went forwards and did the same thing? Now you'll notice in this version, there's no G sharp. Now that's kind of cool to think about, because that means that you could play this guy over any chord that had E and B in him. Just something to remember for later. This could work over any chord with E and B in him because he's missing the 3rd. It's just the 1 and the 5. I could go back to where the E is in the bass. The G sharp is in there. And I'm kind of going in reverse here like I was up here with the B. Then I could go forward as well, kind of going this way from that note. Now I'm an octave higher. It's the same chord, it's just 12 frets higher. So let's start at the bottom again and go up. Open E. E with G sharp in the bass. E with B in the bass, kind of going behind that root note. E with B in the bass, but I don't have a 3rd. An E with an E in the bass. I'm kind of going behind that root note. An E with an E in the bass, and I'm kind of going forward from that root note. And it happens to be an octave from where I started. So what's the practical application of this? Let's say that you're playing with another guitar player who's playing E and A, and they're going to play it in the open position there. So they're going to be kind of grooving like. And that's cool, and that's what they can do, so that's what they're doing. and you are a second instrumentalist, and you are assigned to play along with them and to expand the texture in some way. Let's start out playing our E up here. Now, we've got a couple choices there. We could leave the B in the bass, but since this E major chord would be any combination of E, G sharp, and B, we could, if we wanted to make it extra cool, could leave that note open. And then when we go to switch to A, let's instead use the third of the A in the bass. So we do a shape like this for the A. Now you'll notice that's just my third in the bass shape from down here, and I just moved it up for A. Now, since we could be playing this chord with the open E string or this chord with the B in the bass for our E, and we know we're going to be playing this chord with the third in the bass for A, then let's mix it up a little bit and actually walk up to that bass note for the A. So we're going to start out with E in the bass. And at some point we're covering up that B. At that point we're kind of grooving, and you know, if it's just two guitar players, you can really kind of create a sense of motion in that way. If you've got like if you're playing in an orchestra or you're in like a 10-piece band or something, that may not fly because you may be conflicting with something that somebody else is doing. But if it's just the guitars that are driving the tune, then it helps to add some motion and make it sound like there's more stuff going on than just a couple guys banging on some guitars. You can really get some things going. Get electric, get a little dirty, it sounds really, really cool. So let's just review. To build a major chord, you take the major scale and you look at the notes. And you identify the 1, the 3, and the 5. And the formula for the major chord is 1, 3, 5. That's really all there is to it. If you want to learn a whole lot about building chords and chord construction in general, then I would read a good book like Chord Chemistry by Ted Green. That's an amazing book. I have a version of it where his hair is kind of crazy, and so that's fun to look through even if you're just looking at the pictures where his hair is weird. If you're really wanting to investigate how to build chords, it's an excellent, excellent resource. Have fun building some chords, and I look forward to hearing the beautiful music that you will create with it. Thanks.